Remember, tip the wiki bartenders 20%. No dries up on handers, no Raylos, no Ray Nobodies. I am here to basically put a counter narrative because I saw a faux investigative journalist on another channel, which disappoints me greatly. So I thought, what the fuck? I'll do my thing right now. Anyway, let's talk about Indiana Jones box office. Now, apparently, according to the Hollywood trades, it did well in England. But what does that really mean exactly? I think to me it means it did well in a way. But what does the box office in England right now look like? Not very well, not very good. It saying it did well somewhere doesn't mean it actually did well. It did better than others. That's it. Okay, so trying to make it look like I had just some other guy. Well, when you've got the investigative journalist yip yapping and pretending like he knows what's going on, I can't watch. I can't. I mean, I'm like, fuck this shit. Hey, Dave. So we've got a poor box office, about 180 million dollars, I think, for the 5 days. All right, Cross. I got Dave. I got just some other guy and Cross here. So good. So it did better, I think, than what the Return of Superman. Hey, Peter, but it didn't do as well as I mean, it's still. I mean, Dial of Destiny still did poorly. If you haven't seen it and you want to go see it soon, because I don't think it's going to be in the theaters that long. And I want to talk a little bit about what this means. Now, I did a video today talking about YouTube and the reactions to Kennedy maybe getting fired, maybe getting forced out, which I think is happening as we speak. Tom over at Midnight's Edge posited, I think, that there was supposed to be some sort of face-to-face meeting with Iger today or a week from today. I think it probably is today. That's just my gut feeling, but my gut's been wrong before, so there is going to be one probably. And when you've got it out there now that her email has been suspended, and no, people, don't listen to people who don't understand what that means, who have never worked in an office with Outlook, okay? When I would leave for a week on vacation from whichever office I was working in, I would put in, I will be out of the office from this date to this date. Please talk to blah, 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 or email blah, blah, blah with any issues you have. I will be back and can handle whatever. Okay, that's what you do. I mean, you know what that looks like if you've worked in an office. I don't know who he heard it from. It might have been one of the Black Pill Blobs, just some other guy, but paid leave and a suspension doesn't mean that she won't get dragged out in front of the king. Okay, that, again, when you get your head chopped off, like she is about to do, you are given 2 weeks to clean up your shit and go. Okay, that's just it. Her email's been suspended, so if you sent her an email, it will come back address unknown or address not found or whatever. It'll come back saying that. 2 weeks is enough time, is basically what they give you. Okay, so for a job like hers, that would be it. There's going to be a transition when the new person comes in, if there's a new person, and I think I know who it is now. Okay, that's all right, Peter. Well, look, they're not getting information from a source that's honest. Do you guys know what astroturfing is? Astroturfing is when someone from the opposition infiltrates a political party or an organization, okay, cross those, and starts putting out misinformation. Um, it happened during the Romney campaign against Obama, and Michelle Malkin called them out. It's happened with the Trump campaign with DeSantis doing his people doing that. They're so stupid they don't even know they're doing it. Yes, and just some other guys, right? It happened during the Cold War. What I look at with the black pill blobs is that one of them is either a planned misinformation agent or he's so stupid to believe Pablo, he's being used. Okay, now let's talk about that. Pablo Hidalgo was an immigrant to Canada from Chile. His father obviously was opposition to Augusto Pinochet and fled, okay, with his wife, a Canadian woman, I would assume, and their kid or kids. I don't know if Pablo has. And there you go. Okay, so is Pablo an agent of the Venezuelan government? Probably not. A lot of times, with these lefties in Hollywood, just go off and do things on their own, and just some other guys right there too, and don't really have any contact with whatever. I told you stories about John Wayne dealing with Stalin's agents, basically pretty brutal, I would say. And do I believe the story? I kind of do. Yeah, and Peter's right there too. It's a PR campaign, and as far as I can tell, Jason Ward failed miserably, and now they've got this other joker who has no idea. There have probably been subscribers bought. Look, I mean, my little channel's grown to 100. I've gotten now 103 new subscribers since all this shit started going. And it's not great growth, but it's also better than what it used to be. And I think the reason why is because people are starting to see what's going on. But the fact of the matter is, what I think Pablo is he's putting stuff out there for Kennedy's narrative. Okay, he's trying to manipulate the fandom to think something that's not real. Okay, which is what astroturfers do. Now, is he smart enough to realize that? No, he's doing his Queen Kathy a favor. I think that they probably identified the black pill blobs as ambitious, stupid hillbillies and went with it. Okay. Yeah, well, it is what it is. Cross it you know. So do I think that? Thank you, Peter. Do I think that we have an astroturfer among us? Yeah, yeah. Well, here's the deal. Look, it's hard to get people to look at something objectively when they've decided that this person is a cool dude. He got to talk to Pablo. Why would you want to talk to Pablo? What possible fucking reason beyond clicks would you ever want to talk to that guy? Okay, that's like, I want to talk to Hitler, or I want to talk to Che, or I want to talk to Castro. I don't want to talk to any of them. Look, you're not going to get any real story, first off. You're giving someone who is a massive disaster of a human being a platform. Why would you do that? Okay. Which is why when they had the 2 hour long conversation and he basically flat out did not answer questions about how he treated, oh, happy birthday, Wade. He flat out didn't either answer how he treated the fans or denied it. And now if you go to Pablo's public account, he's mocking Ichibaka because look, this is what he did. Because that account that he was using to attack the fans is gone, or it morphed into the one he's got. All those all those texts are gone. So what he probably did was tell the idiot boys, the investigative journalist, that Itchy was full of shit and lied about everything. Which is what look, Valiant Renegade, I shouldn't say it. They're convinced of shit that isn't real. Okay. Yeah, I think that's true, Tim. And friendships have been smashed, subscribers misled, and people that are astroturfing and pretending to be something they're not are given platforms that they shouldn't have. Okay. Meanwhile, decent people who have a take that doesn't follow the narrative, which is all powerful for YouTube. Look, they become CNN, they become MSNBC, they become Fox News. Do you want to have that? All right. All right. Well, they will be. They're so we do have astroturfing going on. Look, I've said this before, I'll say this again. And I said this actually to Matt Bellany today because I listened to On the Town, and he basically said that he hadn't heard anything about Kennedy, and I'm like, bullshit. I didn't say that to him, but I think Kennedy's issues are well talked about among the Hollywood elite. When you've got, what was it? Was it either THR or Variety bemoaning the fact that one of the few female producers could be let go, talking about Kennedy. It's like they're talking openly about her leaving now. Okay. Hey, Tara. So, when you've got the rags, the trades, openly say, admitting things like that, that's a BFD. Okay, now, and especially since that this movie's not going to break even. It's not going to come close. God knows how much money, thank you, Tara, the Dial of Destiny is going to lose. Okay, and that's heartbreaking. It's a better movie than it's been purported. It's a little different, with a different beat and feel than a Steven Spielberg Indiana Jones flick would be. All right. I really think that while Mangold did a really good job, it's not a movie that Steven Spielberg would have directed. He would not have directed it that way. There would have been more lighthearted moments, because the thing about Indiana Jones is that there should be a little comedy. Okay, there should be a little bit of fun. In the beginning, there was a little bit. But again, the beat and the feel of it didn't feel as much like an Indiana Jones movie, despite Harrison Ford being in it, as Crystal Skull did. Okay, which is, it is what it is. Different people made it. And it had to be reshot. Harrison Ford even says we had to we reshot the ending. Probably because Bob Iger was like, you cannot do this to Indiana Jones after what you did to Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. I won't let you. I didn't think the beginning was too dark at all, Tora. They're supposed to be on a train running away from the Allies at night. Okay, so it was fine. Um, for what the time, place, and setting was. But anyway, it doesn't deserve the ridicule that it's getting. I mean, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is the worst part of it. If they had written her character differently, if they had given her a different thing to do, like get Indy to find out who murdered her father, looking for the Antikythera device, that would have been a much bigger deal, and it would have echoed Crystal Skull. So what? You know, Dr. Jones, my mom was kidnapped. Indy, my father was murdered last week. I need your help. Okay. You know, British government isn't doing anything. You know, Scotland Yard, MI6, MI5 aren't doing anything. I need your help. And she kind of has an idea who did it. Okay. That would have worked without a Teddy. And you know, the movie might not have been as long as it was, but in the end, it might have been better. Okay. That's just, but to me, the movie went by anyway, so that it's neither here nor there. What else is going on? What else? But with that box office going on, yeah, it was, I mean, for an Indiana Jones movie, it was average. Okay, and it's better than walking out of TLJ or TFA. Walking out of TFA in shock and rage, not realizing what you were feeling was shock and rage, with a silent crowd, or walking out of TLJ, tears of rage coming out of your eyes. All right, because it was deliberately written to fuck with the fans. Okay, TLJ is a troll. That's all it is. They bullied Mark Hamill, and I'm gonna be honest. You're Luke Skywalker. He's a fucking pussy. All right, he is. I mean, Mark Hamill is a wilting lily when compared to Harrison Ford. And I said this, I think in chat when I premiered my video that I uploaded this morning, that Harrison Ford had told Larry Kasdan, and if I could find the interview, but it was in it was in like Esquire or GQ or Premiere Magazine or something like that, that Harrison Ford regretted leaving the Star Wars franchise. He regretted it. And I think the reason why is because he saw what they'd done to Han, and that wasn't the right thing to do, and the way the fans reacted. And then he realized, without seeing the script for TLJ, what a dumpster fire it was and what they were going to do to Mark. And I guarantee you, Mark and Carrie both told him. All right, those three were a family, and I think if Harrison Ford had been in the Last Jedi, that either Rian Johnson or his script would have gone bye-bye. Okay, because go back and look and see what Steven Spielberg did to Kathleen Kennedy. He fucking destroyed her at the LA premiere of The Dial of Destiny. Harrison Ford is standing right there. Harrison Ford gets on the phone with Kathleen Kennedy and says, either your Golden Boy director goes or the three of us walk. You know, or better one yet, I'm calling Bob. Okay, Kennedy doesn't have a choice. He's Harrison Ford. Okay, that's it. And if he says, this is bullshit, it's bullshit. All right, you can bank on that. Okay, so I think he knew. I think that she tried to do the same thing to him on Raise the Lot, on the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny script that that they did to Mark Hamill, and in the end, it didn't work. Okay, now again, I think what he says in the end about not having anything to go back to for, or having anything to live for, he should have said that to Helena at the bar in the beginning, when that part of the show started. Instead, they wait till the end, and it's like, look, this is not a place to end. This is a place to start. Now, I know why they did it, because they wanted to show that she was going to drag him back kicking and screaming. That's not how you write a script. Okay, you're giving her power over a guy that she shouldn't have. Okay, because that doesn't fit the character. Well, it wasn't a divorce, it said separation, which is very different. Well, stopping her from changing history, that's, if you do it where her father was murdered and they're looking for the murderers, and they end up in Tangiers and getting into a tuk-tuk chase, that would have been fine. Okay, it's not that she wants to change history, and I don't think that would be a very good story. It would be him rediscovering himself on one last adventure, and that is what it should have been, rather than, again, the show wasn't bad, but if you'd have started from that part to Indy being back to being Indy, that would have actually worked. Okay, that would have actually been a better story, and I think people would have liked it better, but that's just me. So if you're Bob Iger and you're looking at the box office and you're realizing that you're going to lose your shirt on this, which makes Disney's box office basically the laughingstock of Hollywood. Not that the box office for any studio this year has been good, but they've lost their asses on the fake Little Mermaid, Elemental, Indiana Jones 5, and then 4 other movies over the last year. Okay, that's over $1 billion lost. And Kathleen Kennedy, if you look at her track record, TFA made money, even though when you look at what went on behind the scenes, not that we know anything about it, but the said box office is like a $469 million. It did not make the money that it should have. Okay, it made 2.03 billion, but still, it's like Rogue One made $1 billion. But did it even break even? I mean, we don't know. Did TLJ make money? Probably, but not as much as it should have, because word of mouth killed it, as a 69% drop in box office between opening weekend and the next weekend. And it made like 20 million in the vaunted Chinese stock market. Wow. And then we've got Soilo that lost 250, hey Planet Musk, $1 million. Okay, now the stated loss is 70, but when you add up the fact that they had to reshoot 80% of it. Oh, cool. I hope you're having fun. When you add the reshoots, the fact that they had to do 80% reshoots, that movie lost a hell of a lot more than 70 million. 70 million is what they admit to. All right. But I'm sure that the bookmakers are like, that's $250 million gone. Living on that they left on the table. All right. All right. Then we got The Rise of Skywalker, 40% reshoots. That budget was purported to be $416 million, and it barely crawled across $1 billion. Did it make its money back? No. This is her track record. So now you've got Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, $300 million purported budget, probably over 300 just for that, and then you add 200 million on reshoots and trying to figure things out, and that movie's not going to break even, not going to come close. All right, so the question you've got to ask the Kathleen Kennedy is invincible crowd is, why would you keep her? And if they say because she's the most powerful woman in Hollywood, it's like, here's the question. Did you see what George Lucas did to, or Steven Spielberg, with George standing there, Harrison standing there with a snarky smile on his face? Did you see what happened on the stage at the LA Indy premiere? He torched her. All right? She is not the most powerful woman in Hollywood anymore. And she has not been since 2018. You know, and the thing about it is that when you look at that book, Burn It Down, Burn It All Down, and they talk about how much money that they actually spend at Lucasfilm on redoing things. And you're Bob Iger. This isn't, look, Lucasfilm is not a separate entity. Again, put a 1 in the chat if you remember me saying this, and that everybody says it. It is not that Disney just owns Lucasfilm. Disney pays for the movies and the streaming. Okay? Those are supposed to be things governed by Kathy Kennedy. And she treated Disney like her own Target store. Okay? This didn't work. She just pulled something else off the shelf. Okay? And it's like, you can't do that. You know, movies like Star Wars need time. They need to be woven carefully. An Indiana Jones movie needs to be woven carefully. They had a decade, okay, to do an Indiana Jones movie, to get a script together. They had 10 years, and this is what we got. Okay, you don't put a timeline on writing a good enough script for a Star Wars movie, because what you're going to get is TFA and J.J. Abrams throwing, plot points on the wall like spaghetti to see if it sticks. Okay, which is like, okay, so, and that's all Kennedy's fault. All right, look, I don't think she even knows what Star Wars is all about. The fact of the matter is that Pablo went out of his way to attack Chewbacca over the Forces female thing. Look, I don't care if it's a Nike ad. Carrie Beck presented it to Kennedy, and it, again, whether it was actually part of Kennedy's new Star Wars campaign Or they just got the t-shirts, it doesn't matter. You give the fans a narrative, all right? And you gave the SJWs a narrative. And, sorry guys. And that's what she did, and that's why it was wrong. Okay, that's why it was, you know, an unthinkable mess. Why would you do that? Okay, why? And the reason simply is that she doesn't know what she's doing. She's incompetent. And Turnbull is right. You know, she's basically running Lucasfilm like a nonprofit organization, a political nonprofit action committee for activists. This, you know, and the thing about it is, I mean, I don't know. How many of you guys have seen The Offer? All right. The Offer's about making The Godfather. And the pain and suffering that all the guys from Al Ruddy to Francis Ford Coppola to Al Pacino went through to get that thing made, and all the deals that had to be struck and everything. Okay, so you've got that going on, and there's a point where Al Ruddy and Francis Ford Coppola go to Charlie Bluedorn, who ran Gulf and Western. Gulf and Western owned Paramount, okay? And it was at the time where conglomerates, Pepsi-Cola, Gulf and Western, other companies were buying up the studios. The old guard, the guys that ran the studios through the golden era were dying or retiring. And what I found to be interesting is that they needed $6 million to make The Godfather. And they didn't have enough money to go to Sicily to film the scenes with Michael hiding in Sicily. And those were those scenes are elemental to the story. They have to be in the movie. And Charlie Bluedorn didn't want to give him money, so he gave him part of it. In the end, Al Ruddy does some creative accounting and does some hedging of his bets and is able to get $29,000 to go to Sicily to film that part of the movie. They had to watch their budget. They could not be over budget. When you look at the budget for The Godfather, it doesn't look like a small budget show, but when you look at their budget, it kind of was. It went from a $4 million budget to $6.5 million, I think. But it still, considering the budgets of other movies, wasn't a big budget, okay? Now, Ruddy was good at accounting, okay? You know, Francis Ford Coppola wanted a full working kitchen. And Ruddy said, what the fuck are we doing $75,000 for a full kitchen? And it's like, you know, Coppola's like, well, I wanted to, you know, food is so important to the family, blah, blah, blah. And, okay, Francis, sure. But you get one burner, okay? And you're not getting natural gas, you're getting propane or whatever they decided to use, okay? Because it can afford it, okay? Now, Star Wars itself was over budget, but it still struck gold because George Lucas knew what he wanted, and edited it. He and his wife edited it in a way that just created a great movie. You know, so then the next time, and he wanted money enough to make his own sequel, he got $20 million then to make The Empire Strikes Back. And I remember back then, that budget is so big. Now it's like, that's a low budget, whatever, okay? You know, you might have enough money to get a couple, maybe one A-list actor or two, but that's it. I mean, that, you know, when you start thinking, looking at numbers like that, I mean, Harrison Ford, I think, probably got paid more than $20 million for Indy 5. All right. And when all was said and done, he probably got paid maybe the same for The Force Awakens. He probably got points off the top too. I mean, they do that. But The Force Awakens budget was out of control. All right. The TLJ budget, because there weren't any reshoots, because fucktard loved it. Kennedy. Okay, you know, and it was a horrible movie. I mean, look, the person who got the script, Carrie Hart, she got fired. Okay, do you remember that, guys? Right? Okay. The little black diversity hire was thrown under the bus for I would say for the Last Jedi and Solo, because she was a producer on both. Okay. She got blamed for it. Well, not fair, because it was Kennedy's fault. She's the ultimate person, but hey, you know, they weren't gonna embarrass Kennedy. Now I think they want to. I mean, look, Iger has been vindictive since after Star Wars Celebration. Okay. And Kennedy has been daring him to fire her. Now, does he have a choice anymore? If the board meeting that we'd heard of, that Tom talked about, is real, they probably said, we need to fire her. We need to get her out of here. Look at this. You know, so I think her fate's already been sealed, because that happened, apparently, and then the Five Horsemen show up, the auditors. And when I heard chain of custody, I'm like, this is a legal issue. Okay. Well, actually, she showed up in the credits of Soul and another Pixar. So she probably, I mean, think about the executives that got fired from Pixar just recently. Still haven't heard anything about LaToya Ravenel, but we can, God willing, you know, I don't know. I haven't heard anything from Cameron on that. I think a lot of us are going to have to play our cards really close. I know some things that literally knock my socks off, that are going to, when they become public, and they will, they're going to make people look really, really stupid. And you're going to see people scrambling backwards, trying to backtrack on what they've been saying. Look, again, all right, I'll tell you a story. Last night I got into a fight with a friend of mine because he's a movie maker, but he left the country. He lives on a little island, and he's making these C-list movies. And, you know, it's like, dude, Kennedy's done. She's never leaving, blah, blah, blah. That's the shit I got. And also, America's dead. I'm like, no, first off, no, it's not. Second of all, Kennedy's done. And we got into it, and I let him have it. All right. You don't talk to me that way. Okay, you don't. I don't give a fuck what you do for your job. But if you are so far removed that you aren't fucking paying attention to what Steven Spielberg did, and you're not reading the trades where they're bemoaning the fact that she could get fired, I can't respect your opinion. Because guess what? You're not informed. Okay? You could at least Look at the video. I had it up. All right, it wasn't Tom. You know, Peter, I don't know what I think happened with the Acolyte, as I think some money was skimmed off the budget. Because we found out about the Acolyte, what, in 2020? Okay. And they've been saying it was coming, it was coming, it was coming. And then we got Boba Fett, which seemed, thank you, Chris, I agree with you on that, which seemed a little bit low budget, okay? And without Jon Favreau, it didn't work, okay? We've got Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was made on the volume stage. The making of it is actually really cool. I know, Peter, I know what you're doing. But still, there's something lacking in it, and I'm wondering if money was skimmed off that too. Okay? And the thing about it is there's evidence of Hedlund getting 50,000 euros here and 50,000 euros there to film her 3-part sizzle reel. Okay? And we've got people demanding, to the point where they bully people off of YouTube. You know who I'm talking about, the Astroturfer, saying that it's 1,000% happening. And when you bring up this stuff, because they think it's all a competition, we're not here to pretend we're the cable news networks, you stupid man. So we're not in competition. We should be helping each other, okay? But instead, it's a few of us basically saying, yeah, but this. I understand that. I agree with you on that. And then this, what we found out, adds to that. No, it doesn't. It's not true. She's never going anywhere. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, and then they they call people liars and things like that. And, hey, AC, this is the first time you've been on here. Welcome. And we're not helping each other. This is a competition, and I know that you need to actually have 25,000 subscribers before you can actually start to make decent money on this thing. And if that's what this is, they might as well just have a parody channel, because they're not doing right by the people spending money on them. Okay? They're not honest about it. And they're spreading, accusing people of spreading false hope. Why is it false hope to look at the money lost over the last year in box office by Disney, looking at Kennedy's record and coming to the conclusion she's fucked? Okay? Why is the mythology of the Empress has clothes on so near and dear? Okay, and we all know why. Clickbait. How are you going to earn AdSense money? Clickbait. So when I think about all this, when I am looking at what we know and the conundrum going on, and the fact that there's stuff I can't talk about, and it frustrates me to no end, because let's put it this way: when this stuff comes public, it's going to rock their worlds. Okay, and look, I've said this before, I'll say this again. Pro doesn't have any Lucasfilm contacts, beyond Pablo. And yes, he still works there. I know that he still works there. We have now legit proof that he does. And why would Pablo tell the truth? He's trying to protect his job. He's also trying to set up a narrative that Bob Iger was being a misogynist and unfair in firing Kathleen Kennedy. And he's also going to bitch about billionaires. All right. And he wants to fuck with the fandom as they walk out the door because guess what Kennedy said to Iger when Iger told her after the first season, I think, of Mandalorian was such a hit that this nonsense will end or I will burn it all down. Now, she didn't know Luke Skywalker was going to be there at the end of Mandalorian season 2. And then she went out of her way to fuck with John every way she could. And they've been pretty successful for it. I mean, look at the so-called fake Star Wars fans that attack Jon Favreau now. And you know who I'm talking about. All right. You know who I'm talking about. It's like, you're supposed to be fans. You're not. All right. I think YouTube has become kind of an addiction for these guys. It's an attention getter. And they didn't have attention in high school or something and probably lived in their gym lockers. And it's just a way for them to go after people. And, you know, what are they going to do when she's gone? All right, if you saw my upload this morning, I've got the Family Guy, Wile E. Coyote finally catches the Roadrunner. And then what does he have to live for? Okay. Questioning his existence now that the Roadrunner is gone and he ate him. Okay. Kind of one of those things, right? We're at a crossroads because I do believe that something's about to hit the fan. Matt Bellany, his podcast today, talked about Disney, talked about Kathleen Kennedy and said, and I quote, he hadn't heard anything. And I'm like, that's bullshit. He's probably heard plenty. He's just not going to report it at this time because he's been told not to. Okay? Probably by Bob Iger or Alan Bergman or one of those guys. This guy knows all of those people. Okay? So I'm like, okay, Bellany, sure. But again, when you look at her lack of success and you look at where Disney is financially, you have to do something. All right. Is Lucasfilm being sold? Probably. I don't know. But indications are that it is. We've got her financial records and her communications being looked at by auditors, or they already did it. And again, like I said this morning, those guys don't stop. They're it's like sending a pack of Doberman pinchers after a suspect. They're not going to stop till they got the suspect rolling around on the ground and chewing him up. Okay, and that's what these guys are doing. Okay, they're honey badgers, and they'll go back to Iger with the evidence they need, and Iger then can take the evidence to the board and the investors and say we have to get rid of her. Because that's what they're going to find. Look, here's the thing you've got to bring up to these black pills. How come you guys don't, first off, ask why they don't talk about the Acolyte lawsuit? Okay. Second of all, say, if the Acolyte's a fully funded streaming show, how come they only offered Karen McCarthy $5,000 to go away, which is, even the stupidest person in Hollywood would know that's an insult. Okay? They won't be able to give you a direct answer or a rational answer because they know that that's proof of something weird going on. Okay? And that's what it is. Okay? And, you know, again, take all that into account. Look at what's going on and go, she's not vulnerable. After Steven Spielberg basically behaved like she and Frank weren't even standing there. And the look on Frank's face is like, he went, and then he tapped her, turned around to walk away, turned back, tapped her on the shoulder and said, let's go. And she uses George as a crash helmet on the way out so she's not embarrassed. I'm like, if you don't understand what happened up there or didn't see it and are just making up shit to make yourself feel better, I can't help you. Okay? I can't help you. That's what happened. Okay? Steven Spielberg, the most powerful man in Hollywood, basically erased Kennedy and Marshall together on the stage. He knew perfectly well that they were standing there. George knew he was standing next to her. Harrison was grinning like the Cheshire Cat, looking at them. When Spielberg did what he did, and he and Spielberg shared a knowing smile, okay, are you going to tell me that doesn't mean anything? Because she has some big, deep, dark secret? Well, guess what? If you've got blackmail, that can either be good or it can be bad for you. Okay? And now I think it's bad for her. Okay? Because I don't think it matters. Because the one thing that people never seem to remember is that the billionaires who have invested billions of dollars of their hedge funds into Disney want their fucking money back. They want the dividends. They were promised by Bob Iger to get dividends at the end of this year. And I have to say this, I don't think they're going to. They might. They're not going to be huge. Okay. I mean, I don't know what Disney stocks look like today, but Bob Iger's version of Disney is tracking a lot lower than Bob Chapek's. Okay. You know, and you can't sit there and say they're losing money and literally in the same sentence by Kennedy staying forever and ever, amen. You can't, because it logically doesn't make any sense. It is irrational. All right, but look, for the last 20 years, since everybody's had access to the internet, a lot of people who really don't know how things work have really affected the way people think. Okay. And it goes like, look, when you've got Alex Jones being feted on one of our channels, when you've got Zack Snyder calling a group of fans a hate group, on a video with the group, you've got a problem, okay? You've lost the narrative of who you are. You've lost even the narrative about what your group and channels exist for. Is it discussing in a rational way pop culture and economics, business, etc.? Or are you just there to rage? Okay. And when you're not quick-witted enough to understand you're being basically, how can I say this? Astroturfed, and you give somebody who has no legitimate sources, no legitimate standing. Uh, Basically, the permanent bully pulpit. You've lost what you're supposed to be about. Okay, when you deny people who disagree with the narrative the chance to speak. Okay, you've lost it. Okay, and I don't care if it's business or money. I don't. And the reason why is because the truth is more important. Okay. And the discussion is more important than fucking clickbait. Okay. Or hanging out with the fake cool people. Because, look, in high school, when I was a kid, the cool people, I mean, you had the jocks and all that, and they were, they thought they were cool. But the cool kids were the ones either sitting in the bleachers smoking and listening to Motley Crue, or sitting out in the parking lot smoking and listening to Motley Crue. Okay, or you know, some punk rock act or another metal band. The cool kids were not popular with the other popular people. In fact, the more popular you are, the lonelier you are. Okay, and the less honest you are about who you are. Okay, and you know, I saw it when I was a high school kid. I couldn't understand. I couldn't vocalize what I thought of all that. But now I can. Okay. And when I see popularity points beating friendship, beating honesty and integrity, I cut people out. I'm done. I'm done. I respect Doomcock. He has integrity. All right. But as far as other YouTubers, I'm very disappointed with many. Very. Sci-fi, for me, they're a great channel. Jason and Mindy are awesome. Clownfish TV is great. Okay. But for the most part, the rest of them are a band of people who don't care. Okay. They want to continue to make money. They don't give a shit about the truth. And to be honest, it's their pathology and the raging victimhood that they have, which is like, how can a so-called alpha male white man act like a victim when you're not? Okay, stop it. You know, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. All right. It's become a toxic brew made worse by the black pill blobs. Okay. But anyway, I gotta go. I want to get some lunch and stuff. So you guys, and Peter's right there. Peter's right. So you guys have a good afternoon. Hit the likes, and who knows what's happening. But I think we're gonna find out soon. Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.